Since 1986, I've been a leader of the accountability movement, but it actually didn't start there. It actually started way before that, and I was just a consultant, like everybody else, doing team building, doing process improvement, leadership training. And in 1983, I had a very successful team building program, and I went back to the organization 3 months later, and people were treating me like a rock star, and I was quite young, and it really got to my head. I was feeling so good until I asked one question. How's your team doing? And the person said, oh, our team is still as dysfunctional as ever, but it was so good, we all agreed it was one of our favorite experiences. And from that point, I went from big head to you could scrape me up in the lines on the floor. I felt so low, I felt so discouraged, because my purpose was building the team. So I decided to analyze all the different teams I'd worked with to see if there was one element that was breaking down. And that's when I discovered accountability. I didn't get into the accountability movement because it was popular. There certainly weren't books on accountability. I got into it because it was the one area that kept breaking down. And from that point forward, I put my whole focus on how do you create accountable organizations and how do you change people's mindset and behaviors to become more accountable, not just at work, but in their personal life. So I look at myself actually as a student of accountability, not just an expert on accountability. I don't just have my 1 or 2 programs that I put people through. And yes, I don't do the big marketing. I've always just been the student of accountability, looking at how accountability works in organizations when they're going through change, when they have performance problems, even when they're going through downsizing, to see, are there ways to actually build morale during downsizing? And I discovered there was. But along the way, I also got frustrated again, because organizations, whether they were doing accountability or process improvement or skill building, weren't seeing the kinds of transformations necessary to keep up in the business environment, the fast-paced business environment. And I thought, there's got to be something missing. And that's when I looked back to my own past, when I played for top-performing athletic teams and music groups, and thought about what did we do to become top-performing. And the one thing that was clear was we were always practicing and rehearsing our execution. It was expected that you knew the plays. It was expected that you knew the music. It was expected that you could play the music or that you could throw a ball and catch a ball. You had the skill, but that wasn't enough. We were always working on fine-tuning and honing down our plays, our interactions with each other. Whether it was slowing down a song, whether it was turning a double play, we always worked on how we flowed and how we worked effortlessly and seamlessly with each other to produce results. And we don't do that in organizations. We send people to process improvement or skill building and expect it all to work. We set up action plans for improvement. And we even emphasize everybody's own style, where there's no cohesive way or determined way that we're going to solve problems or make decisions. So if I'm an introvert, I do it in my own office or my own cubicle. And I don't include anybody else because I love to analyze it in my head. And if I'm an extrovert, I love to engage people in helping me with solving a problem, but I only engage the people that are like me or that I like to be with. So I still exclude others. And we put so much emphasis on styles inventories. I think it's great for understanding diversity of styles and approaches in communication. It's awful for execution, because execution isn't determined based on anyone's individual style. It's based on what is going to make and create the business result. How do we need to function together to produce the result? How do we need to share information to produce the result? How do we turn a double play to produce the result? How do we follow the director and listen to each other if we're playing music to produce the result? And that's when accountability became more about execution and breakthrough results. How do we actually get breakthrough results? And that's when I figured out we have to both change the mindset of what's possible, but we have to change the habits, the very core habits of how we work together, of how we work with each other, whether it's communication habits, performance habits, team habits, decision-making habits, coordination habits. We have to have defined habits that we measure and track that relate directly to those business results. And that's what B-State is about. And now we're seeing changes happen in months, not years. We're watching organizations sustain those changes for 3, 5, 10, 15 years, where they're continuing to reinvent themselves over and over as the business environment changes and they create new B-States for themselves. So, you can see these stories in my book, B-State, A New Roadmap for Bold Leadership, Brave Culture, and Breakthrough Results. But also, please join me and thousands of others now dedicated to creating B-State organizations that are reinventing their businesses and their culture at the same time. And let's have a conversation to see how this can apply to your business, to your organization, and to your life.